Well, good morning, and welcome to today's professional development session on an introduction to screencasting. The best method that I know for creating powerful instructional videos yourself for your students. It is my favorite multimedia technique, favorite instructional technique I've ever seen. I ran upon this decades ago at a conference, and have just been fascinated with it ever since. It's something. It's a technique I indulge in several times a week, at least, for my clients, who are you all, the faculty, and it is a marvelously simple and easy thing to be able to do. So let's get running and see how to do it. First off, what is screencasting after all? What am I talking about? Well, it's not a very complicated idea. It's you record what's on your computer screen in full motion. Like if you took a camera and pointed it at the projection screen in your classroom when you're sharing your computer screen onto the projection screen at the front of the room, and recorded that and recorded you talking about it at the same time. Simple idea, but one with immense instructional implications, and one that allows you to, one that's amenable to almost any subject matter, any field, any specialty. And then, of course, once you have this recording, you put it online so that your students can watch it anytime they like, as often as they like. They can pause it, they can start it over, they can rewind it and watch something again, so they can benefit. They can basically get the same experience they would get if they were sitting with you in your office and you were showing them something on your computer screen with them looking over your shoulder. Only they can do it any time of the day or night from anywhere in the world, as long as they have the link to this recording that you've placed online. And there are just all sorts of instructional applications for this technique. It was originally envisioned as a means of doing software training tutorials. So you could show someone how to use Microsoft Word. And instead of talking about it and maybe putting pictures in a book and having them read text about it, you can actually show them how to underline in Word or whatever, or much more complex things. You can, with screencasting, you can record anything that appears on your computer screen. So you can bring up any software package and show someone how to use it, as opposed to describing how to use it. Another very common technique is sort of what I'm doing right now, PowerPoint narration, where you bring up your PowerPoint slides one at a time on your computer screen, and you narrate them as you would live in the classroom. Only with screencasting, you're capturing both the slide and your voice. So whatever happens on the slide is recorded for later playback, and so is your narration. And that makes putting your PowerPoint presentations online so much more effective than just providing the slide deck to your students, because most of the information that's presented in a PowerPoint presentation is presented in your narration. The PowerPoint slides are mainly talking points, as illustrated here behind me. You can do website tours. You can find websites that contain useful information for your subject matter. And you can pull those up and you can navigate through them and show your students the information that's on there and use it as an adjunct to a lecture. So you can talk about a particular topic and illustrate it with graphics and text and other illustrations of all sorts on a website that has something to do with a concept that you're teaching in your course. And there's so many websites out there that there's a website on just about any subject matter you can imagine. You can do whiteboarding or broadcasting recordings where you use an online whiteboard or perhaps a document camera with a piece of paper under it that you can pull up on your screen, which we do an entire 2-hour session on how to do that with both software-based and hardware-based options. But this allows you to replace your whiteboard in an online situation. So it, in effect, allows you to record what you write on a whiteboard or draw on a whiteboard. And this can be captured off your screen. Remember, anything that appears on your computer screen can be captured in a screencast. Another really useful application is student feedback. When you're, let's say you're grading a series of papers that your students have turned in Canvas using the speed grader. You can pull the speed grader up on the screen along with the student submission. You can use the markup tools in the speed grader to highlight certain portions of the writing and make suggestions and provide comments, positive and hopefully not too many negative, and provide the student with an experience that would be equivalent to them sitting down with you in your office while you blue pencil their writing assignment for them. And yet you can do this at a time that's convenient for you, very efficiently, without having to wait for the student to show up and so on. And then you can send the student a link to the video, the screencast video that you placed online, and the student can view it at their leisure and get basically the same experience they would get if they had to make an appointment and come to your office, which, let's face it, they're much more likely to watch it if you put it online than to come to your office. And this is by no means an exhaustive list of the sorts of things, the sorts of instructional applications you can create with you can apply screencasting to. You're limited only by your imagination in this. Okay, on the next slide, I've got a little video I'd like to get included in here. I'd like to have you watch that goes back over this, what I've just said, and shows you some examples of different sorts of screencasts. To do this, I am going to go ahead and share this screen. Make sure I get the right one here with you using Zoom so that the sound will come through, except I don't think I enabled sound there. Let me make sure I've got that going. Share sound. Yeah, okay, now I have that. Alrighty, so this is about a 6-minute video. So what is screencasting anyway? Well, it's a really simple idea. You do something on your computer screen. You show your students how to do something or illustrate some concept in your course, and you talk about it as you're showing them things on your computer screen. And in a screencast, you record this. You get a video file that you can put online and share with your students so the students can play this back anytime they want, as often as they want. They can stop it and start it and rewind it until they get what you're trying to say. This is a tremendous instructional capability. And it's something that you do in the classroom all the time, except maybe you don't record it in the classroom. In this case, you can use a screencasting tool, a software tool, to record what you're showing the students on the screen and what you're talking and your voiceover to that. And they can access it anytime, anywhere. That's real instructional power. And you're limited only by your imagination as to the range and type of subject matter that you can cover in a screencast. Just a few suggestions include things like software tutorials. That's what screencasting was originally developed to do, to show someone how to use a piece of software or a website or something like that. You can even do mobile device tutorials of this nature. You can capture the screens on your mobile devices. You can do how-tos for software like Canvas or Zoom. A really common application of screencasting is a PowerPoint narration, where you run through your PowerPoint slides and you narrate them on the screen, and you capture that, both your voiceover and the slides, so that your students can get basically the same experience that they would get in the classroom, anytime, anywhere, at their convenience. It's so much more powerful and so much more functional than just putting your slide deck on Canvas. You can provide feedback on complex assignments to students in Canvas or other venues, so that they get a really rich feedback experience, comparable to them coming to your office and sitting down with you and going over the paper that they've submitted. You can do problem sessions where you work problems, scientific problems, mathematical problems, and record that process, not just showing them the solution, but showing them the process so that they can better understand how to do it themselves. You can do website tours and pull up sections of websites that deal with your particular subject matter and do a voiceover on them, illustrating the concepts in your course. And there are lots of other things I'm sure that you can think of to do with a screencast. Screencasting tools are incredibly simple to use. It's the simplest form of multimedia software production there is. And most of these tools, or certainly a more than adequate selection of these tools, are available to you here at the district for free, either because they're free to everyone or because the district pays for you to have access to them. We're going to look at 4 such free or relatively inexpensive tools. Okay, I'm going to do that live. I just wanted for you to see a selection of the types of screencasts that I had mentioned earlier. So let me get back to the course of this, my PowerPoint slide here. There we go. And let me kill the share so that you're seeing this directly now. And go back to my bring me back there. Okay. So that's just a rough idea of what a screencast is. And now we're going to talk about how to implement this, how to actually do it. And I wasn't kidding when I said this is about the simplest form of multimedia production there is. It is something that you can learn to do literally in 10 minutes. And in 15 minutes, you can be producing useful content. You'll get better over time, and your screencasts will get more sophisticated and smoother. But you can do something useful the very first time you try it. And you can do it so quickly and so efficiently that you can produce a critical mass of content. So many multimedia production techniques are so labor-intensive on the part of the creator, and so difficult. The learning curve to create them is so steep that it was, for years and years, you pretty much had to have a multimedia specialist at your beck and call to create the content for you, that you'd have to work with someone like that. You as the subject matter expert and the instructional technologist as the nuts and bolts person to get something put together. With screencasting, you can do this yourself without any support other than someone to ask questions of occasionally, me. And you can produce tons of content in a very reasonable period of time. Indeed, it's generally faster to create a screencast than it is to type out instructional materials in text and maybe add in static pictures and so on to help with the understanding. It is so much faster to screencast. When I get a question from a faculty member about how to do something in Canvas or a feature in Zoom or something like that, I'll generally make a screencast showing how to use that feature or how to accomplish that task in Canvas and put it online and send the link to the person, and that takes me far less time than it does to try to type out the information in an email. And it's a lot more effective. And people remember what they see in a video, a screen recording video or any kind of video. Typically, studies have shown that people remember about 80% of what they see in a video a week after they watched it. The figure for how much they retain after they read it is not so high, not nearly so high. Video is an exceptionally effective instructional medium. Always has been. Yes, it's been used for a lot of other less instructional things or less societally positive things, but it retains that tremendous instructional capability. And now you have access to that through these simple and quick to use screencasting tools. So let's talk about the ones we're going to look at today. We're going to start with one called Techsmith Capture and its bigger brother, Snagit. This is the simplest screencasting tool I know. It's the introductory drug for screencasting. And in fact, Capture is completely free to anyone, provided by a company called Techsmith, which practically invented screencasting back around in the late 20th century, very late 20th century. You may have heard of Jing, which was the Techsmith's little free tool that they gave you in order to try to entice you to buy their commercial tools. And Jing is, alas, no longer with us, but has been replaced by an application called Capture, and which is basically a free version of a piece of software called Snagit. Well, I'll show you both. Zoom is a great way to screencast. I am screencasting right now. I have my computer screen shared with you behind me here. I'm showing you what I'm doing on the computer screen, in this case a PowerPoint narration. And I'm recording it just by recording the Zoom meeting. Well, you can do, more about that in a minute. So Zoom is something you probably do way too often already. And Zoom is for many people the go-to tool for screencasting because you have access to it for free. Canvas Studio is a video hosting and creation tool that is tightly integrated with our Canvas learning management system that you have access to by virtue of having a Canvas account on our system, our Canvas system. It has screencasting capability, screen recording capability built into it. We'll look at how to use that. Another tool I'm just going to show you briefly, I don't have time to go into the full implementation of it, but Open Broadcaster Studio, OBS, is the tool I am using right now to put this myself in front of this PowerPoint slide so that you can see the slide and me at the same time, is also a powerful screencasting tool. And once you get it set up and learn, basically learn how to set it up, screencasting with it's almost trivial. I use it more than anything else now for screencasts or screencasting because it's so simple and quick once you have it set up. And finally, I'm just going to briefly talk about the one tool that we're looking at here that is not free to you, and that is Camtasia. It is the Cadillac of screencasting tools, and I just want to mention it. If you get into screencasting in a significant way, sooner or later you'll probably want your own copy of Camtasia. It is not free, and unfortunately the district does not provide it. We've tried to get them to do that for years and years and years, but it has some significant capabilities that I am going to mention at least. So let's start with the entry drug, that first puff of screencasting. Completely free, Techsmith Capture. It is super easy to install. There's almost no learning curve, and it's very, 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 very easy to use, which is why we're looking at it first. It will give you high quality video and audio. There's no compromise, despite the fact that this is a free tool. There's absolutely no compromise in the quality of the screencasts that you get from it. So the video is very sharp. Even the fine print on the screen will be recorded readably. And the audio is excellent. So there's no compromise in quality. Its limitation, there has to be a catch, right, if it's free. The limitation is you can, when you go to put this screencast recording, video recording, online, you only have one option of a place to put it. And that is a hosting service owned by Techsmith, the same company that makes the software. You can't put this on you can't put this directly on YouTube or on Canvas Studio and share it with your students. You have to put it, the only place you can put it is screencast.com. And screencast.com is free for limited use. But they give you 2 gigabytes of storage space, which is a lot. That's enough to do dozens upon dozens, or to host dozens upon dozens of screencasts. But they also limit you to 2 gigabytes of bandwidth a month. And that's something you could easily go over if you have a number of screencasts and a lot of students watching them. And that's the real limitation. So if you're going to utilize Capture, you're going to have some hassles that I'm going to show you about. Also, screencast.com does not offer automatic captioning like YouTube and Zoom and YouTube and Canvas Studio both do. And we can't use videos, screencasts or otherwise, that are not captioned, regardless of whether we have a hearing impaired student or a otherwise learning disabled student in our course. That has to be captioned up front proactively. So what you have to do in this case is a workaround, which I'll show you, but that makes sort of partially eliminates the advantage of the simplicity of Capture. And so as a result, it's best, if you're using Capture itself, the best application for it is student feedback, because you're creating a screencast video that's meant for one student, not for the entire class. And if you know that that student is not hearing impaired, or if that student has not come to you with a letter from DSPS indicating that they have a verified disability, a hearing disability, you can send them a link to a video that's not captioned, and it's legal and you're not going to get into trouble. But you can't share that video. You can't create a screencast video in Capture and share it with the entire class, which of course is a huge limitation. There is a workaround to that, and we're going to see that here in a moment. So let's play with Capture. To get Capture, you only have to go to the Techsmith website. Let me pull that up for you here. Or just Google Techsmith Capture. There it is. Share ideas instantly with Techsmith Capture. Here's the download button. They don't ask for money. They don't even ask for any information. You can just download it for free. There's both a Windows and a Mac version, so you can use it on any reasonable computer. You click download. You get a setup file that you can download to a convenient place on your hard drive. Yeah, sure. Takes almost no time at all, even on a relatively modest internet connection. Then you just run the setup file, double click it. I accept the terms, which basically says, you can't sue them if it doesn't work. Continue. Though it almost always works. The install process happens almost instantly. There's nothing to it. And Capture pops up. So that's all there is to getting Capture on either a PC or a Mac. It's just, there's nothing to it. This is designed to be as simple as humanly possible. So, let's say I want to make my first screencast. And I have Capture running. And we see the little window there. Let's see, what was I going to do here? Oh yeah, Pressbooks. I had a question from a faculty member yesterday that I need to make a screencast to answer. And it was about a open educational resource textbook, or a type of textbook that she was being asked to use by her department. And she was being asked to get that access to that press book and load it into Canvas. All right, so I want to show how to do that. To do that, I'm going to need a clean web browser window up on the screen. I need to get staged so I have the right thing on the screen that I want to record. So I'm going to pull up a new browser window. And I'm going to bring up Google. And I want to get started from there. There I have Capture running. And I'm ready to go. So I just have to think. Now, ideally at this point, I would sit down, I would make a, oh, Lena, you're here, very good. I'm making your tutorial for you right now.
Good morning. Good morning. Sorry, I'm late.
Welcome. Okay, so ideally, I would make an outline and not just start recording. At least an outline, maybe a storyboard, go a whole hog and put, little snapshots of each of the different screens I want to record and write out the script and things like that. I like to tell you I always do that. I can remember one time I did that. I'm going to rip this one off because I've done about 1 million screencasts over the years. And you get accepting of having to think on your feet after a while. It's what we do, right? We lecture live all the time. So screencasting is nothing more than capturing that, really. with all its warts and, and ums and imperfections, but it works. A statement I always make at this point when I'm talking about screencasting or any kind of instructional media production: perfect is the enemy of good. It's not going to be perfect. The hard thing about that is that you're going to see it, and you're going to see its imperfections. When we lecture live, well, maybe you are perfect. But I'll guarantee that I am not. I know I've watched myself too many times on recordings and so on. I know what my proclivities and my limitations are, and I've had to get used to that over the years. But starting out with that, and recording and seeing yourself as others see you, and what's even more intimidating in some cases is hearing yourself as other people hear you, because we don't sound to others the way we sound to ourselves. So. You got to put your illusions away in a nice, tightly locked, compartmentalized box and get over that. Otherwise, screencasting is going to be a little hard for you. But once you get past that, and I swear to God, that's probably the single biggest impediment to utilizing this technique for people just starting out, is that you have to see and hear yourself. Well, hear yourself, maybe not see yourself, but hear yourself as others hear you, and it shatters illusions. So I'm ready to go. I have Google up here, which is the screen I want to start on. Then I'm going to move forward from here in this process, and I'll try to make it as smooth as possible, but it doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be all that smooth. It just needs to be instructive. So let's see if I can do that. Okay, how do I get started? You tell me. What's the first thing I'll do here? Now that I've got my screen up that I want to record. What does the record button on your VCR, God, I'm showing my age, your DVD player or your DVR look like?
You click on capture.
Well, it's just a big red button, right? Mm-hmm. There's your big red button, and it says capture. Indeed, all I have to do is click this big red capture button to get started. When I do that, it turns my mouse cursor into a crosshair. And it asks me to draw in the portion of the screen I want to record. Capture can record all or part of your computer screen. The default, well, not a default, but the thing that I most prefer to do is just, and of course you're not seeing this because I am not, oh yeah, there we are. There's the crosshair cursor. And right here is an option to record the entire screen. Okay? Which is what I do 99.9% of the time as a screencasting, in screencasting, because I don't want to have to think, oh God, I just talked about something on that part of the screen. Did I include that in what I was recording? Just to keep it simple, just record the entire computer screen is my practice and my advice. So I click full screen, and then I get a little control bar that pops up. And the first thing I have to decide is whether I just want a still image, a screenshot, or a screen movie, a screencast video. And given what we're talking about today, I want the video. So I select the video option instead of the static screenshot, though Capture is an excellent screenshot tool. It beats the living daylights out of the snipping tool in Windows or the screen capture tool on the Mac. And again, it's completely free, and there are no limitations as far as screenshots go in this. It's an excellent screen capture, a screenshot tool. But we want to do a screencast, so I'm going to select the video option. I can record my webcam or my screen with Capture. We're talking about screencasting, so I'm going to leave the webcam off, which is the default. I can also record my voice, assuming I have a microphone attached to my computer. You do, for screencasting, you do need a piece of software and a microphone at minimum, along with your computer. So I have to have a microphone if I'm going to record audio, record my voice with the screencast, which I do the vast majority of the time. You can record without audio as well, if what you're doing is self-evident without your accompanying narration, but that's unusual. I can also record system audio, the audio that comes out of your speakers, without having to actually record what comes out of the speaker, but it's recorded internally in the electronics. If I do that if I were, say, going to be playing a video. But you do run into some problems if you're recording your microphone and the computer sound at the same time. So generally, we're going to be talking about a situation where you're going to be recording what your microphone hears. And I'm ready to go. I have another big red button here. To actually start the recording and move forward, I have to click that red button. So at this point, I've got my outline. I know what I'm going to say. Maybe not perfectly, but I got enough of an idea that I can get through it. Take a deep breath. Click the red button, and then it's going to count me down. It's going to go 3, 2, 1, and then I proceed. So let's see how that works. And I didn't get that out of the way quite rapidly enough. If I decide that I need to do this over again, I just stop the recording. This bar is still here, still available. And I just delete it. I get a preview of it, and I just delete it and delete it. Yes, I do. And now I can start again. So go through that process again. Capture. I'm going to record the full screen. I'm going to bring my little bar down here. I'm going to do a video. I've got sound. That's what the little green bar tells me. If I don't see that green bar bouncing, I need to select the appropriate microphone or audio input. But chances are it'll just show up just fine. So I'm ready to go again. Utilizing a Pressbook, open textbook in Canvas. In order to find the Pressbook that you wish, you need to go to the Pressbook directory, which is available online. The easiest way to find that is to go to Google and to search for Pressbooks directory. Press enter. And here's the Pressbooks directory at pressbooks.directory is the URL. It may be easier just to remember that. You can access the directory in the usual way by clicking on the link, and here you are in the Pressbooks directory, which is an encyclopedic list of all of the open free textbooks that you can use with your students that are provided by Pressbooks, one of the providers of free open source textbooks on the web. There is a search on the website, on the directory website, which allows you to search for the book that you're looking for by keyword. For instance, let's say I want a general psychology book. I just search for that. And there's one from University of Central Florida. These are completely free to use. You can share them with your students, use them as your textbook with without saying boo to anyone. To access the book itself, I just click on the title. And of course, there are many others as well here. There are just a slew of them. So you can go through and you can look at each of these books in turn. I'm just going to assume here that I like the first one. And clicking on the title will take you to the actual site for the book. For your students to use it, all they have to do is click Read up here, and they're taken to the beginning of the book. We can also go back home. It's also possible for the students to download a copy of the book in a variety of different formats. Just, an amazing variety of different formats. So they can have their own local copy so that they don't have to be online in order to access the textbook. They can even print it out if they want to. Though that would probably eliminate much of the advantage of an open source textbook because it costs so much to print. Once you've found this book and decided to use it, how do you share it with what do you have to do to share it with your students? All you have to have is the URL for the book, which is in the address line on your web browser right up here. We'll copy that to our clipboard, our operating system clipboard, and now we'll go to Canvas and log in and go to the course where we want to use this book. I'm going to be working today in a tutorial sandbox course that we use, and I don't have to worry about messing up. I can go to my modules, and I've created a module for today's class, so I'll put the link to that textbook in here. The easiest way to share this with your students is to, perhaps in your getting started or your first module in your Canvas course, you add to the module an external URL, a web link. You provide the URL for the website of the book, which we have on our clipboard. I can just right-click and paste there. Then I give the page a name that reflects what it contains. I can choose to load it in a new tab or not, as you prefer, and just add the item to my module and publish both the module and the link so that students can see it. And now for the student, all the student has to do to access that textbook is to click on this link. It takes them right to the book. They can read the book and just begin moving forward through the book. Here's their table of contents. So that's all there is to sharing the press book that you have selected to use as your open textbook with your students in Canvas. All right, I'm still recording. To stop recording, I just find my little box here. I've moved that off to another screen, so it wouldn't be included in the recording. Now I just stop the recording. And just that fast, I get a preview of that recording. Let's see. Let me share this screen with you again in Zoom so that you can hear what I'm doing. And go ahead and get that shared. Excuse me. Make sure I get the right one. There we go. Okay, now I'm sharing my screen through Zoom. Here's my bar, which I've already stopped the recording, so I can just drag that out of the way. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's the bar that I had in there. That's the end of the recording. All right, now I can play this to see if it utilizing a press book, open textbook in Canvas. In order to find the press book that I can scrub through, I can drag this little playback cursor through and look at the recording to make sure everything looks good. We'll copy that to our clipboard, our operating system clipboard, just to ensure that I got a clean copy. And now, to get it online so my students can use it, can use this, or that my clients can use this, like you all I have to do is click this button that says Upload. It says your file's being uploaded. Shouldn't take long. Oh my gosh. It gives you a little progress bar. The actual time to upload, of course, depends on the length of the video and the speed of your internet connection. And just that fast, it's online. And here's the link to it. You don't even have to go looking for that. It just gives it to you. You can copy that to your clipboard, or you can open the video online and look and listen to it. Utilizing a press. Nothing to it. There's just one drawback, as I said, and that is that it's on screencast.com by Techsmith. There's no easy way to caption this, and it's not especially, and you can't create a lot of screencasts and share them with a lot of students this way. What you can do as a workaround for that is you can go to the details button that only you see if you're logged into your Screencast account. For this book, video, open textbook in Canvas. And there is an option to download this video from screencast.com. You click download. You give it a name, Press Books, I'll call it. You save it somewhere that you'll be able to find it again, which can be more of a challenge than anything else. Find my video. There's my videos library. And save it to your local hard drive. Doesn't take very long to download. They're small video files. Now, what can I do with that file? Well, I can take that file and I can upload it manually to either YouTube or Canvas Studio. Those are activities that are covered in other sessions, so I don't want to take the time to do that right now. But now I have a copy of this video on my local hard drive that I can access and put up somewhere else like YouTube or Canvas Studio where it can be captioned automatically without me having to do much of anything except maybe edit a few mistakes in the automatic captioning if it's necessary. So that's all there is to putting a video online using Techsmith Capture. You can do the same thing with Capture's big brother, which is called Snagit. This is Snagit that you see right here in this, it's this blue bar at the top of the screen that I always have running. It starts up when I start up my computer, and it's always there. So to use Snagit, all I have to do is tickle that blue line with the mouse, and I have that same big red button. I can start a capture just as I did with Capture. Indeed, Capture is just a slightly or a somewhat limited version of Snagit. And I can click that red button, select full screen just like I did before. I get a little control bar that's almost identical to the one with Capture. It's just a little more colorful. And I can choose to record a video. I can then click the record button. Okay, now I'm recording in Snagit. Yada, yada, yada. I can stop the recording when I'm done. And I immediately get a preview of that video, which I can play. Oops, I forgot to check my, I forgot to check which microphone I was using. I was apparently using something that was turned off, so I didn't get any audio there, but it's no big deal. And now, assuming everything looks good, this one I would obviously redo and make sure that I got the audio. And then I can click the share button up here, and I can put this video in a bewildering variety of places online, including a lot of free places like YouTube, is my usual go-to in this case, or Dropbox, or you're about to have access to SharePoint as by virtue of getting an institutional Office 365 account from the district. So you could put it on SharePoint or Google Drive, which is totally free. So there's lots of stuff I can put, lots of places I can load this other than screencast.com, which is another option here as well. And in the case of YouTube, you can get it captioned automatically. That's why you would probably use YouTube here, is this option. And if you have a YouTube account and you're logged into your Google account, which is your YouTube account, all I would have to do to put this video on YouTube is click YouTube. I get let's see, where did that go? Oh, there it is. I just give it a name. Decide the privacy level, unlisted as usual, which means your students can watch it, but you have to give them the link in order for them to watch it. So it's not public. It's not like anybody in the world can watch it. And then just click upload. And bing, it's online. YouTube automatically puts the link to this video on your clipboard. You can just go to a web browser like this one, paste in the link, or you can put this link in an external URL in Canvas so that as soon as you just click on the name of the video, and bingo, there's that video. So that's not really much more complicated than, indeed, in many cases. Oh, and this one is already, this one does not have captions because I didn't have any audio. But YouTube would automatically caption the video as well. So, this is almost as simple as using Capture. There's one drawback to it only, and that is that Snagit is not free. But it is quite reasonable. If we go to Techsmith.com go to Products, Snagit, Pricing. If you are an educator, as evidenced by your EDU email address, you can get it for $38. And it's a one-time cost. It's not a subscription. You can pay that and use it effectively forever. It's what I use the vast majority of the time when I'm creating screencasts. And it gives you every bit as much quality as any other tool that I have available to me. I love Snagit. So if you were really going to get into this, it would be worth, and you wanted to use a tool like Techsmith Capture, it would be worth it to you to buy Capture, which is, of course, the whole idea, or to buy Snagit, which is, of course, the whole idea that why Techsmith gives you Capture for free. They're trying to sell you Snagit. All right? So much for Snagit. All righty. Let's go back to, we'll get rid of Capture, and we've pretty much covered Capture and Snagit there. Come on. There we go. How about Zoom? Zoom is, in many ways, all that anybody who wants to do screencasting is going to need. Because we all know how to use Zoom already. The learning curve is almost flat. We know how to do Zoom. All you have to do to screencast in Zoom is to record your session while you're sharing your screen, which I'm doing right now. I'm going to go ahead and kill the screen share, and you can get the video from my OBS or from my Zoom video feed. But literally, all you have to do to screencast in Zoom is share your computer screen, and then hit the record button, or vice versa. Hit record first, and then share your screen and start talking. You already know, how, in all probability, how to record your Zoom presentations, either to the Zoom cloud or to your local computer, as I'm doing here. So you do this all the time, in all probability, in your classes. The quality of the video and audio with Zoom is ever slightly so, well, I used to say it's a little bit less than a dedicated screencasting tool like Capture or Snagit, or some of the others we're going to talk about. But I'm not really sure that's true anymore. Zoom, the quality of Zoom's, the video and the audio in your Zoom recordings has gotten so much better over the last few years that I'm not sure there really is any quality compromise for using Zoom for screencasting. It's the best way I know to record a screencast in which you're playing a video, like I did earlier when I played that 6-minute video talking about what screencasting was. It's the best tool if you want to do that, because you can have echo problems with the if you have your microphone and your speakers playing at the same time, you can get an echo, which can be distracting and makes it hard to hear. Zoom has marvelous echo cancellation, which prevents that from happening. So when I am going to record a session or record a screencast during which I'm going to play another video, I almost always use Zoom. You can also create so-called hybrid recordings, combining both screencasting and regular video. Because with Zoom, you can unshare your screen, and then people see you. They see your what your webcam is seeing, usually you. And you can go back and forth during a Zoom recording between your webcam and your screen. As you share your screen, you're recording your screen. You stop the screen share, then you're recording yourself. And you can go back and forth between the two as many times as you like. So it gives you a very sophisticated looking recording. And you can, of course, either upload your Zoom recordings to the Zoom Cloud, or Canvas Studio, or YouTube. Any of the three. If you record to the cloud, of course, it goes directly to the cloud, and you don't have to do anything to put it online. It's even simpler than putting a screencast online using Capture, as we saw. If you choose to record locally, as I'm doing here, you get a video file that's dropped onto your hard drive that you can then upload to Canvas Studio or YouTube yourself. A little bit more work, but you get some options that you don't have with the Zoom Cloud recording. Among them, the complete control over your video. But that's, really doesn't have a lot of impact. You can put your screencast recordings, Zoom screencasts, on the Zoom Cloud and share them with your students in the same way that you share your class meeting recordings with them, perhaps. And it'll work great. To create a screencast in Zoom, typically what I do is just start off a Zoom meeting and don't invite anybody to it. I just say it's just going to be me and Zoom and the shared screens, and I run the Zoom meeting without anybody else in it. I record the screens that I'm using, and then I stop it and I put the recording online, either through on the Zoom Cloud or another option. So Zoom is really about the only screencasting tool you have to have if you want to use it that way. And of course, captioning is readily available, unlike Capture, Techsmith Capture, because if you upload to the Zoom Cloud, or if you record to the Zoom Cloud, the recording is automatically captioned. You don't have to do anything. If you upload it to YouTube, if you record locally and then upload the video file to YouTube, it will automatically be captioned. If you upload the recording file to Canvas Studio, you have to ask Canvas Studio to caption it and review the captions before they will be visible to your students, but you don't have to do anything. You can edit the captions on both YouTube, on all three options. You can edit the captions on the Zoom Cloud, on Canvas Studio, or on YouTube if they need it, and then make them available to your students. So it's very easy when screencasting with Zoom to make your screencasts accessible to students with hearing impairment, and thus legal to use. The next option I want to talk about is screencasting in Canvas Studio, which is our video hosting and creation tool that we have access to by virtue of having a Canvas account at the San Diego Community College District. It's totally free to you, as of course is Zoom and is Techsmith Capture. The screencasting option in Canvas Studio involves using the Screen Recorder tool, which I'm going to show you how to use in a minute. This is what it looks like. The screen core, there's a little bit of installation required, just as there was with Techsmith Capture, but it's trivial. You do have to select the right microphone, which I neglected to do, and I did that Snagit example a minute ago and forgot to do. You can also optionally record your webcam with the screen recorder in Canvas Studio. As is true with all these tools, which I did not show myself doing in Capture, you can pause your recording while you're recording. If you suddenly have brain freeze and don't know what to say next, you can go bang, pause, and gather your thoughts, and then start the recording over again. And you can do this with Capture and with Zoom. Zoom has a little pause control on the recording while you're recording down in your Zoom menu at the bottom of the screen. Let me share that real quick. it is. Okay, down here at the bottom of the screen is my zoom menu, and I have a little pause control right here. If I want to say something I don't want included in the recording, I can just hit that, and no one will ever know that I paused it. There's no pop or jump or anything like that. That you can do that in Capture. You can do that in the screen recorder in Canvas Studio as well. It also includes a basic video editor, which is something we haven't seen in any of the other tools that we've looked at so far. So let's see how to use the screen recorder in Canvas Studio. To do that, we'll need to pull, not that one, sorry. Here we go. We'll need to go to Canvas Studio. How do we do that? Well, we log into Canvas in the usual way, something you all do probably multiple times a day. And we go to the Global Access menu on the left-hand side here, the gray bar that's always visible in Canvas. Scroll to the bottom of that if necessary. I've got this blown up so it's a little clearer on your shared screens. And I click the Studio link in the Global Access menu. That takes me to my Canvas Studio library, which may or may not have anything in it whether it depends on whether I'm using it or not. In either case, if I want to create a screencast, a screen recording in Canvas Studio, I use the Record button up here in the upper right-hand corner. And I'm given the option to do either screen capture or webcam capture. In this case, of course, I want to do screen capture to create a screencast. So I just click that button, and we get a little wheel, executive pacifier here. And I'm going to let that go for a second without clicking this button here, which I normally would, to show you the screen that you get the first time you do this. Okay, if you've never used the screen recorder before, you have to download and install a small application that is perfectly safe from Canvas Studio. You get this screen and you get this download button. You click the download button and just follow the on-screen directions, and that will install the screen recorder on your computer. You only have to do that one time on each computer anyway. I'm going to cancel out of that since I already have done that. And now I'm going to hit the record button again and do what I would normally do the second time I tried to do a screen capture, which was click screen capture. And when I do, I click, when this box pops up, I click Open Screen Recorder Launcher, which actually starts the screen recorder the vast majority of the time. This can be a little twitchy. Yeah, sometimes you have to do it more than once. It's been known to happen. Oh, nope, there it is. Okay, it did start, my bad. To show it to you, I'm going to have to share my screen again here. All right, here's my primary screen. You don't have a lot of choice about which screen you're going to record here. You're going to record your primary. If you have multiple monitors, you're going to record your primary screen with this, which is one drawback. But here's what the screen recorder looks like. So I have the option to record just my computer screen, just my webcam, or both. Since we're talking about screencasting here, I'm going to record just the computer screen, which is the simplest situation. As with Capture, I can record portions of the screen if I like. I couldn't do that with Zoom, but with Capture, or with the Canvas Studio Screen Capture Recorder, I can record parts of the screen. I don't recommend it. I recommend selecting from this menu here. If you click this little right caret here, you get series of options, and my strong recommendation is just to select full screen if it's not already selected. So you don't have to worry about whether the portion of the screen you're recording is the right portion or not. You want to make sure that it's hearing you, and those green bars bouncing back and forth ensure that. I click the right caret here. If I don't see the narration, I can select a different microphone or input source at need. But the one I've got selected is working, so I'm fine with that. I can choose to record computer audio or not, just as I could with Snagit and Capture. And now I'm ready to start recording. I just need to get what I want to record onto the screen behind me, which is not Zoom in this case. I don't want to record my Zoom screen. So I just minimize that. And I'm going to, let's see, what did I decide to do with this? I'm going to, question I often get during these sessions. How do I find the recording? If I want to go back and look at the recording of this professional development session. Well, to do that, I need a web browser. So I'm going to bring up Chrome, a new Chrome window here, and put it behind me. Okay, so again, I'm going to start with an empty web browser window, or a default web browser window. I've got my recorder ready to go here. Like most of the others, it has this red button to start recording. So, to record a screencast showing someone how to find the recordings of our professional development sessions, I would just click the record button here. It's going to count me down. Finding recordings of professional development sessions presented by Online Learning Pathways. These recordings are stored on our open on-demand video tutorial site, which can be accessed at the following URL: sdccdol for online, vid for video, .org. Just type that in the address line of a browser window and press enter. That brings up the open on-demand site. This site is also linked to a variety of other resources provided by the district and by Online Learning Pathways. And in every email that Dave Giberson sends, it's in his email signature. So it's not hard to find. But once you've accessed the site, to find the workshop archives, just look at the navigation bar at the top of the screen. There's a button for Workshop Archives. Click that, and all of the screen recordings for all of the professional development sessions we've done since, we have some going back as far as 2006 on here. Dozens upon dozens of them, with the most recent at the top. Pardon me, just a second.
Pick up the car keys.
Pardon?
Did you pick up the car keys?
No. Excuse me just one second. Thank you. Sorry about that. Lost car key issue. Hope we got it fixed. All right. Anyway, the more recent recordings will be at the top. And to view any of them, you just click on the recording and play it. You can full screen it, play it. And that's all there is to finding the workshop archives on our Open On Demand website. Okay. Now, this entire time, I have had this little pause button down here in the lower left, which I should have hit when I left to help my wife find her keys. But I could pause at any time. And then start the recording again. So I can, it counts me down again, and I can pause as often as I like and restart. Once I am done with the screencast, I click the pause button and I click Done down here in the little control bar, and I get a preview. Finding recordings of professional development sessions presented by online. I can jump through that site, recorded. To find the workshop archives, just look at the navigation. Looks and sounds okay. I do have one problem here. I have that section here in the center that where I had to get up. So what can I do about that? Well, in this case, I have a little video editor built into the tool. I can click the Edit button here. And I get an editor interface. I can and I don't have time to go through this in detail. We do separate sessions on this. We do have screencast tutorials showing how to use this editor. But let's play a little bit here. Pardon me, just a second. Okay, so from that point on to throughout this period of silence here, I'd really like to get rid of that. I can go to the Tools menu in the editor and go to Cut, which is fairly obvious. And I can drag this line down to right to where I start speaking again. I can see the audio waveform there, and I can cut that out. So now I don't have that gap in it any longer. On dozens of them, with the most recent at the top. There's the knock. I didn't get that. Sorry about that. Lost car key issue. Hope we got it fixed. Okay, well, I should have cut that out too. I can cut it as well. Okay, and now I've cut out the part of the video I don't want. How many times do you want to be able to do that with a Zoom recording? Though this editor has size limitations, you can't do like a full hour or so of a Zoom recording in this editor. You can't edit it, but there are other ways to do that. All right, once I am done with the editing, I just click Done. And all I have to do to get this online in Canvas Studio is to give it a name. Screencast sample or screencast example. And click, I could add a more detailed description, and then just click Upload. It begins to upload to my Canvas Studio library automatically. I started it from Canvas Studio, so it knows where that is. This is almost as simple as uploading to Capture, we saw earlier. Obviously, the longer the recording, the longer this takes. But not likely, and the speed of your internet connection is a factor as well, but it's not likely to take very long. And in just a moment, it says it's done. And we go back to our Canvas Studio library, and it is uploaded, and it's processing it to make it compatible with the Canvas Studio. And just that fast, and there was a short screencast. Here's the screencast we just made. Finding recordings of professional development sessions. And to get this captioned in Canvas Studio, I do have to ask nicely by clicking the captions link here in the video page, the page for this video in Canvas Studio. I tell it that the language is English, and I request the captions. After a period of time, the captions will be done. I don't have to sit here and watch this little sand glass drip. I can go back and come back later. Let's see if I have, here's an earlier one. No, I didn't ask for captions on that one. Shoot. Let's see if I can find an earlier video that has the captions done but not vetted. No, shoot. All right, let's go back and look at this one and see if it's finished. This can take some time. Once the process is finished, you get a little blue button right here that says Review and Publish. And you do so, that will allow you to pull up the captions and edit them if necessary. I'd really like to show you that. Let's see. This is what it would look like. When you go back later, you just click the Review and Publish button. You get the captions. And you can edit them. Like,
using headings in under 3 minutes.
okay, that instead of and, that should be in. There's usually not a lot of editing necessary. The automatic captioning in Canvas Studio is phenomenally accurate. But occasionally little things like that will happen, and occasionally complex jargon terms, of which I don't see any here, may be missed. Something unique to your particular lexicon of your subject area. But once you've done such editing as you feel is necessary, you just click the Publish button, and the captions become a part of the video and available to your viewers. If I back out and go back in, I see a little toggle button here that allows you to turn the captions on and off. If I turn them on, they are closed captions. They can be turned on and off. And
using headings in under 3 minutes. Headings in documents and web pages help provide clear structure.
Okay. So that's all there is to getting your videos captioned in Canvas Studio. It takes almost none of your time. So that's the process of using the Canvas Studio screencast recorder and the basic video editor built into Canvas Studio. All right.
Hey, hello. I hear an echo.
Just a second. What has happened there? Let's see. I've killed the... I'm no longer sharing.
I see it.
Oh, Lena, it appears you're in twice on 2 different devices. And they're talking to one another.
Oh, I see it too.
So you probably need to drop out on one of them.
I see.
That's what will happen. This is exactly what will happen if you join a Zoom meeting with 2 different devices in the same room and you have the sound turned on both.
It's the same computer. It's only one computer.
There we go. I just muted the other device. So if you mute one or the other, you'll be able to turn the sound back on or unmute yourself. Or you can put anything you want to mention in the chat. Sometimes it's hard to tell if a situation like that is on my end or on yours, but in this case, I'm thinking I can tell it's on your end because if I mute you, let me ask you to unmute the other device.
Hello.
Okay. No. Do you have are you using both your phone and your computer at the same time?
No, it's just saying computer, my Mac computer. Should I get out and come back
You'll need to get out of the Zoom meeting on one of those two. Is
Okay.
probably the easiest way to do that, so that there's only one Lena. There we go. Now you're good to go.
Hi, guys. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
That's a teachable moment. And that's something that will happen from time to time. Like if you have students in the classroom with you and students at home on Zoom at the same time, and the students in the classroom decide that they want to access the Zoom meeting and watch you on the screen instead of in person, which will happen sometimes, you can get this situation in the classroom where their device starts feeding back to yours, and you get this feedback loop, this echo setup.
That was very bizarre because it's the same computer. I don't know how that happened. I just have a question. I was wondering,
Yes.
when I record something on Canvas Studio, do I have to share with my students, or they can see my own private library?
You have to share it. Then in a separate process, you have to
separate.
share with your share the video with your students. I think we've got a moment. We can look at that. A good question. All right, tell you what. Let me finish with the screencasting presentation.
Oh, okay.
That, all right.
I don't know what happened to the other teacher. I think
She had to leave.
Oh, okay.
At 11 o'clock. So, all right. So we are back here to. We've just finished screencasting in Canvas Studio. So let's move on to the next slide, which involves I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because this is a bit of an advanced technique, but for people who are heavily into video technology, there is a free application. It's basically a video studio and live switching console that is implemented in software. It's just a program you can download and install on your PC or your Mac called Open Broadcaster Studio, OBS. It takes some setting up. And I do seminars every other month or so on how to do this. But it's completely free. It's something you can download and install on your PC or your Mac and do all sorts of sophisticated video effects, like what you're seeing right now with me superimposed and kind of floating over my PowerPoint slides here and other screens when I switch screens here, when I bring other windows up, is done through Open Broadcaster Studio. So there's some really neat effects. I can do far more than just put myself over top of a PowerPoint slide. I can switch between various video sources outside of Zoom. For instance, I can put myself at the headwaters of the Missouri River. This is a video I shot on vacation a couple of months ago, where the Jefferson River on the left here and the Madison just across the way here come together, and this is the exact point, geographical point, where the Missouri River, the longest river in North America, starts.
It's beautiful.
At Three Forks, Montana. This is the Three Forks of the Missouri. Lewis and Clark were here. So I can put myself there. I can put myself in front of a live shot out my back window in northern Idaho. That's Lake Pend Oreille behind me there. I'm not actually sitting in front of a river. Of course, I'm sitting in front of a green screen. I can do things like this with Open Broadcaster Studio. or I can show you what I saw in Yellowstone National Park on that same trip. While we were driving through the North Road and had to yield right of way to some of the locals. So,
Beautiful.
so just all sorts of tricks you can do like this, and many other more instructional things. Though this, if I were teaching a biology course, this would be a very useful video that I could share during a Zoom meeting, as I'm doing now. And this all happens through Open Broadcaster Studio. But the thing that I'm really interested in sharing with you today is the ability to use Open Broadcaster Studio to do screencasting, to record whatever I display using Open Broadcaster Studio. To show you that, I'm going to need to share my Open Broadcaster Studio screen with you. Let me get back to something that's a little bit more useful. There, I'm back in my PowerPoint slides there. So, I'm going to, in order to record this screen along with my voiceover and me sitting down here, little mini me in the lower right, I am going to share that OBS screen with you. This is what OBS looks like. And it's, like I say, it takes a little setup, but and choosing exactly what you want to record involves switching what are called scenes. So I can switch between the lake behind me here and the Missouri and me, or the buffalo and me. Or here's what it looked like here 2 weeks ago. I'm not in San Diego anymore. Go figure. We had a late spring snowstorm. I think it was August or April 17th. So I can just put all sorts of stuff, but for screen recording, I can superimpose myself over top of one of my computer screens. And I can now record this. And the remarkable thing about this is how simple the recording process is. It's the simplest, once you get it set up, it's the simplest screencasting tool that I have. And it works as well as any of the others, so I'm using it more and more now. I have in this control menu here on the right a start recording button. If I click that, it's now recording. I see a little red button down here that tells me I'm recording. So now anything that appears in this window here is being recorded along with my voice. So I can proceed. Let's say I'll do a narration of this PowerPoint slide. All right, here I go. Screencasting with Open Broadcaster Studio, or OBS. OBS is a software-based video switcher in Studio. It is, as you can see in the shared screen here, you can do the same sorts of things they can do in the network trailer on Monday Night Football. You can switch between various different video sources, blend them together, mix them together, and record audio at the same time. It does, as I'm demonstrating, have recording capability. It does require, this technique does with OBS, multiple monitors, at least normally two monitors attached to your computer. If you don't already have two monitors available to either your laptop or desktop computer, that's an upgrade you really want to consider. It gives you far more capability than a single monitor, and it's especially useful during Zoom meetings and in situations like this with OBS, where I can record. I can run OBS on one monitor, as you're seeing right now, and on another monitor I can have what I actually want to record displaying, and proceed to record, as I'm doing right now. It's a very easy and efficient workflow, as we'll see here. You saw how easy it was to start the recording. I can also pause the recording at any time. Here's a little pause button. Oop, need to do that. Okay, my recording is now paused. It tells me that right here. To get it started again, I just click this pause button again, and now I'm recording again. So just as I could with most of the other tools we've talked about, I can pause the recording at any time that I need to catch up with what I want to say. And we've already seen some of the sophisticated video effects you can add to screencasts. Like I can move myself from that over top of that screen to a shot from another camera. Or I can put various pre-recorded media behind me and so on. These are all options that I have in OBS. So very, very useful thing. But the recording process is so simple. And once I record them, once the recording is done, I can easily upload it to Canvas Studio or YouTube. To show how that's done, I'll bring up here a web browser screen. Let's see, that one will do. And let's see, before I do that, I need to stop the recording. Oh no, let's let it continue to record. And let's bring up that. That'll do. And let's pull up, let's say I want to put this on Canvas Studio. Well, I need to go ahead and stop the recording, don't I? Yeah. Let's go ahead and stop the recording. You're seeing me here. I've got this stop recording button. When I'm done with the recording, I just click that. And bing, it's done. No more recording. Where'd it go? Well, it goes to your local hard drive. I'm going to kill my screen share now, because this is easier to show a different way. And I'll bring up a file manager window. File Explorer. There it is. This would be the Finder on the Mac. Same thing. And I have, by default, OBS sends any recorded videos to my videos library, which is here on my local computer. And I have this sorted by name. I've got some folders that I've made here, but right below those are the recordings that I get from OBS, because the names of them start with numbers. The name of the recording is preceded with the year, the month, and the day. This is April 29th. And the time, 11:40 thereabouts a.m. when I started that. So this is the recording I just made. It's just sitting here. To verify that, I can double click it and play it. It's now recording. I see a little red button down here that tells me I'm recording. So now anything that appears in this window here is being... So there's that recording I just made. What can I do with that? Well, I have to share it with someone. All right, I have to put it first somewhere where it can be shared with someone. Canvas Studio is an obvious option, because we all have free access to that. So I'm just going to remember where that is. I'm going to bring up Canvas Studio. I have that open here somewhere. Sorry, I've got a bunch of windows I've got to go through to find that. Ah, there it is. Okay, here's Canvas Studio. And I can add this recording to Canvas Studio by clicking the Add button. I can add it to my Canvas Studio library. I just browse for the file that I want to, the video file I want to upload. That file is in my videos library. And it's this one that we just looked at. April 29th, 11:40 a.m., April 29th, 2022, 11:40 a.m. It's the top one like that in the list. So I just select that one and click Open. The video uploads to Canvas Studio. How long that takes depends upon the size of the video and the speed of your internet connection. And in a moment, that will be available. We've already seen how to caption this video. So the only remaining question is how do we share that with our students? And that was the question you asked earlier, Lena. So let me address that right now. Rather than wait for this one, I'm just going to use this, I'm going to share this screencast example. It'll be exactly the same process with students in a Canvas course. So I bring up the Canvas course in question. I can't leave that right now, can I? You really can't mess with it while it's uploading. So let's let it finish uploading. Or I tell you what I can do. I can bring up another Canvas window and I don't have to wait. And I'm going to go to my tutorial sandbox here and to the module that I created for today. And let's say I wanted to share that screencast video with my students. I would add to the or one way to do that at least is to add to the module an external tool link. Canvas Studio is actually a separate system outside of Canvas. They're tightly integrated, but they are separate. And I'll add an external tool, and I'll choose Canvas Studio as the external tool from which to pull content. And that gives me a view of my library. The video that I just recorded is not there yet because it's still processing. But let's say I want to share this screencast example that I did a minute ago with my students. I just select it and click the Embed button. And then finally add item to add that link to the module. And now there's a link in the module that's just named Canvas Studio. I can edit that and change that name to Screencast example in this case. I drag on the Shift key every time. I don't know why. And with videos, it's generally best to load them in a new tab in Canvas. So we update that. And now publish it. And when a student comes along, they click on that link. They are asked to add it in a new window. And here's the video. They can play the video. Finding recordings of professional development sessions presented by Online Learning Pathways. So that's all, and then I can Minimize that, get that out of the way. So that's all there is to sharing those videos that are in your Canvas Studio library that have either been created there or uploaded into the library after they were created using another tool like OBS. That's all there is to getting those online and sharing them with your students.
Thank you, Dave.
And did that answer that question for you?
Yes, thank you very much. I think I missed a little step because I was writing some notes. I forgot what happened after Canvas external tool.
Okay.
I think, sorry about this.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. Let me get back to where I was. There we go. I'll go back to the module here. We can add that one again. Just plus external tool. And look for Canvas Studio.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
That brings up your library. And let's see by now. Oh, here's my recording that I did in OBS. It's finished processing. So I can show you that one now. I just select that one and embed it and add the item. Now I have another Canvas Studio video. If I publish that and change the name, just because I'm Freudian here, to OBS recording. I had to think for a second about what that was. I didn't used to have to do that. That's funny. Load it in a new tab and update. And there it is. And a student can come along, click on that, and load it in a new window and play it.
Thank you.
It's now recording. I see a little red button down here that tells me I'm recording. As I'm demonstrating, and the quality on the recordings in OBS is very comparable to any of the other screencasting tools we looked at today. So there's a lot more setup involved, but if you go down the OBS rabbit hole and decide to start using this in your live Zoom meetings, you can also, an ancillary benefit is you can also use it as a screencasting tool when you're not in a Zoom meeting. And it's the workflow is more streamlined than any of the other, even more streamlined than Snagit in many ways, to get it online. So it's just, and you can record things, you can create video effects in OBS that you can't do in any of the other tools. So it's a more sophisticated type of screencast. Finally, 5 minutes, I saved myself 4 minutes here to talk about Camtasia. This is the Cadillac, the Lexus of screencasting tools. If you really get into screencasting, sooner or later you're going to want a copy of Camtasia. It does have an excellent screen recorder built in. It's actually the same screen recorder that Snagit uses, basically. But made by the same company, by Techsmith, as Snagit and Capture. It's also got a tremendously capable video editor built in. Far more powerful than the little editor that we saw in the Canvas Studio screen recorder. It is an editor that literally you could cut together if you had the video, you could cut together the evening news for a broadcast TV station. It's got that kind of capability, and but it's a lot easier to learn and use than most of the video editors out there. So it is a tremendous tool. I'm not going to demonstrate it here. We have lots of, the screencasting process is quite similar to what we saw with Snagit, for instance, since it's made by the same company. It produces screencasts of similar quality, in other words, very high. But the real advantage to Camtasia is the editor, which you can use whether you're editing screencasts or any other kind of video. You can edit them in this. The drawback to Camtasia is its cost. While it's not extreme by any means as software goes, it is not free. Alas, I sure wish we could make it so. You can get it from Techsmith.com. Indeed, you can buy it in about 30 seconds. They make that easy. Go figure. Just go to the Techsmith website at techsmith.com, mouse over products, select Camtasia. There is a free trial, but while you can utilize the software, you can't output anything from it that you can use because it puts a huge watermark in the center. And the free trial only runs for 30 days. If you want to buy it, if you go to pricing and go to the education tab, just as we did with Snagit, this one is a bit more expensive, $161.03. Don't ask me how they came up with that. Which is a significant discount. As you see, it's almost half off the commercial price that some civilian would pay, and that's very well worth it. But this is something you buy after you've decided that you're really going to get into screencasting, and especially if you want to do some sophisticated video editing on your screencasts, you're going to want Camtasia. Though there are alternatives for that too, but it's the best editor I know. It's the one I use all the time. I've used this software literally for 22 years. I've used every version of it that ever came out, and it's one of my favorite pieces of software, but it's not free. But I've found it to be well worth it. It will allow you to edit your Zoom recordings, anything you want to edit, and it's got a lot of capability. So, that's an overview of screencasting. It is something, as you see, you can get started in. You could be making useful screencasts this afternoon and have them online for your students to use within minutes of completing them. You can demonstrate and explain complex concepts to your students in ways that you just can't do with anything other than live presentations or video. And indeed, there are things you can't do in live presentations in the classroom that you can do with screencasting. And you can then put it online and make it available accessibly to your students within minutes so that they can view it anytime they like, as often as they like, and stop, start, rewind, and really study what you're presenting to them indefinitely. You can use that screencast indefinitely with class after class after class. Put it online in a repository like Canvas Studio and share it, or share it with your students in any Canvas course. So it's, again, the most powerful instructional media technique I know, and the easiest one to learn and to use.